reconvene at 7:10. Okay, so just a quick recap on item 3. We are establishing a connectivity ad hoc committee to address more walkable, bikeable, cartable community efforts. We're going to have 2 subcommittees under that, one being a Loop Road Committee and one being a Pathways Committee. We have appointed co-chairs Dave Dixon and Jeff Beach for the Loop Road Subcommittee, and the Pathways Subcommittee chairs will be named at a later date. Anyone that would like to participate, please reach out to our town secretary.
Who's the overall chair?
Megan Kean.
So,
Just want you to repeat.
so I'm a little confused. You said that they don't know that they're part of this committee?
They will be asked to, and if they choose to participate, they may, or they can choose to
All 3 or
decline.
just the 2?
All 3.
Okay.
We chose the most vocal, and then they can choose to
Who's we?
participate. Me,
Okay.
as the charter dictates.
Just curious.
That's okay. I've been asked about this so many times. People have reached out, wanted to determine the feasibility, if we can do a loop road or not, whether it can be cars or not, path for bikes or golf carts, or if it's even feasible. Town has exhausted all of its resources, and we've done all we can do to pursue it. We have citizens in the community that constantly reach out saying that they would like to get involved and they would like to take a hand in it. So that's what an ad hoc committee is. It's a citizen-led, town-supported committee where we let the citizens take a shot at it and have a committee and see what they can do. And this has been something that's been discussed for years. It's been brought up. It's brought up daily, multiple times a day sometimes. And so now is a chance for our citizens to go ahead and take the reins and participate in our community. Anything else? Anyone? Item 4, Town Manager Norwood will update us on the Indian Creek drainage issue.
Mayor and council, last week, and it may have been the week before that, but we held a meeting to discuss kind of a status with the homeowners and property owners in that area. The engineer is about 85% complete on the design, so we're getting real close. At this point, nothing major has changed. We've met with the country club. They're on board because we'll need to get on their property and do some work because that's where it all dumps and it ends up at. We've also talked to the MUD regarding relocation of a sewer line. They're on board with that as well. So the next time you see this will be official action, hopefully in the next 2 months, to award a bid to get it constructed. So we are moving ahead as fast as we can. Residents are very pleased that something is looks like it's going to happen. So so again, if anything should change, we'll let you know. But again, they should be finished with the design the next 3 to 4 weeks, and then probably another month to bid it and then award it. So so with that, I'll conclude my comments.
Anyone have anything to add to that? On to individual items. Item 5 is the approval of the Town Council Joint EDC meeting and regular meeting of March 23rd, 2021. For our minutes, do I have like to recognize Mayor Pro Tem Lamont?
Make a motion to approve the Town Council Joint Meeting EDC minutes dated March 23rd, 2021, and regular Town Council meeting minutes dated March 23rd, 2021.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and a second by Councilmember Monger. All in favor? It's unanimous. Motion carries. Item 6. Item 6 will provide funds to repair Trophy Park Road to be completed by Reynolds Asphalt. And I'd like to recognize Mayor Pro Tem. You have a comment on that, or do you want to hear Wade first? Okay. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight, the item that you have before you is a repair of what we call Trophy Park Drive or Trophy Park Road. It's the asphalt road that's within Trophy Club Park. It's in a very poor state currently. Some pretty bad roadway there on both sides of the road. You really can't drive a car down that thing without hitting some of the potholes and some of the problems that are out there. We did get several companies to come out and look at the project, the possible project. all of which said the subgrade for the road is in great shape, so that none of the companies suggested a complete tear out of the road and a replacement. We're going to be able to just remove a couple inches off the top layer and do an overlayment of the asphalt. The project itself is about 2,000 linear feet from the beginning there by the gate down 2,000 feet, and it'll cover both lanes of the road. They will do a little bit of work on the shoulders of the road as well, just to level things up. That's all I have. I will say, we did put in for a grant with with Texas Parks and Wildlife. Back in 2019, January of 2019, we applied for the grant. Texas Parks and Wildlife has had some problems with some software, is the excuse that we're getting. We have not heard anything since March the 25th of 21, where they sent us an email saying basically no funds for that grant have been awarded to any city or municipality, and that they couldn't tell us when the grant would be looked at or when the grant would be awarded. Since then, we looked at the project internally and decided the road was in bad enough shape to bring it before council to have looked at for a possible fix. I'll take any questions.
So my concern is that if we go ahead and fix the road, that they may not pay us for the grant when the time comes. Because we've seen that in the past. I'm not saying Texas Park and Wife in particular, but that's my concern, number one. Number two, it's a federally owned property. It's not ours. And I know it's $76,000. It's a lot of money for the taxpayers of Trophy Club to pay for land that's owned by the federal government. The name of the park is Marshall Creek Park. It's not Trophy Club Park, which tends to make people think it's our property. So I know we use it, the name, but it's a federal, we don't want to call it a park, but worse, it's a floodplain and a reservoir. And it's only 20% of the road, which means we got another 80% coming down the pike. But worse than that, if it rains heavy, they tend to open up the floodgates and flood the property, and we're back to square one again. We've spent $80,000 of taxpayer monies. So I'm opposed to this. My suggestion would be to table this until we get some further determination from Texas Park and Wildlife.
I can speak to the grant itself. The grant itself was written in a manner that, with broad language, we don't pick out the 200 linear feet that we're going to repair as part of that grant. It's just for roadway repairs. So there's some areas further down within the park that are not nearly as bad a condition as the stuff up near the front, but we could, if we were awarded that grant, use that grant money to replace the roadway further down. That would still qualify for the grant. Tony filled out the grant application. I spoke with him last week about this, and he's confident that we could use that in the same manner.
When's the last time?
Hold on, I'm sorry, Council.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, Councilmember Marmaduker.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Greg took my son.
Do we know if there was an increase in traffic during COVID over the last year?
Yes, I don't have the numbers with us, but there has
Because
been
if there was, there may be a way to apply some of the COVID funds to the repair if there was a significant increase in traffic. So it'd be worth looking at to see if there were any dollars available there.
okay.
Councilmember Wilson?
Do you know, have we replaced this road before? And if so, how long ago?
We went back 16 years and looked over the past 16 years, and we cannot find where we made anything other than about $10,000 worth, or I'm sorry, $20,000 worth of repairs, and that's just fixing potholes in the last, 11, 12 years. So it has never been replaced on the town of Trophy Club's dime. That's the original road that was placed in the park, probably when the boat ramps went in.
Do you have any idea what the total usage for town, the town population? I don't know if it's a way to determine that, but do you have any idea?
We looked at the past year just this afternoon, and it's 20%. 20% of the patrons live within Trophy Club. Those are the ones that actually paid for, those aren't the walkers, right? But it's the vehicles that actually came in and bought a pass, though it was 20%.
Thank you.
One more, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Do we control the entry fee?
Yes, we do.
Can we put a 50 cent
Well, like the Parks Board had stated, and really all of staff, we're going back and addressing all of our fees as a town. We'll be bringing those before you sometime this year. There's a bad need to adjust the fees at Trophy Club Park, along with the pool, along with other town amenities as well.
Yeah, my last comment is, granted, it's federal property, but it is bad. And when you drive back there, I mean, everybody assumes it's ours, so it makes us look bad because that road is in such terrible state. Lose a small car in one of those holes. So I'm glad that we're pursuing a way to do something about it.
Any further questions?
Yeah, so is the agreement that we signed, what does the agreement say? Does it have any language in it at all?
David, do you want to speak to that? We looked at that this afternoon.
About the lease, the lease with the Corps.
The lease that we signed with the Corps?
There's a couple of sections that if anything's damaged, we replace it. And the catch-all is, there was an inspection, almost like a rental car, when you get it, when we took it over. And we agreed to turn it over in the same condition. Now, we're not turning it over now, but we have to maintain it.
And
So
so
we have to go
have-
back and see what the road was like at that time.
Have we explored anything with the federal government?
We looked at the UASI grants that are available through the Corps of Engineer, and there are some grants available through the Corps of Engineer, but nothing for road replacement, road repairs at this time. There may be in the future, but there's none currently.
And so you're wanting, how far in, so I would assume from the end of Trophy Park Drive to how far?
It's 2,000 linear feet, so it's going to be not far behind. What's a good description of it? I'm trying to think in the park. It's before you come to the parking lot that we put in. They're just past the motorcycle track, so it's before you get to the motorcycle track.
So I tend to agree with Greg on this, only because, how much do we have in that fund? Does anybody know, do you know what we have in the Trophy Club Park fund?
Do you know how much we have in Trophy Club Park fund?
The fund?
Here comes Mike. Okay.
Currently, the unassigned fund balance is about 50,000. We've seen about 114,000 in revenue so far this year. And to go on top of the 188,000 in revenue we saw last year in 2020, 2019, we had about 100,000 in revenue.
But you say that you have 50,000 in fund balance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so none of, well, besides Tony, none of y'all have seen a flood. Have you seen one?
No.
No. So, that fund balance, poof, disappears, you know, like that. And so, would we carry a negative balance if that happens and we had just, paid for this, our portion of the road? Because you're talking how much, Greg, on the?
Well, 69, but they could go up to 76. It's the 10%
So that's more than the fund balance we have. And so my fear is it's not a matter of will it flood, it's a matter of it will flood. And it could be this year, could be next year, could be both years. You know, I mean, I've seen, I don't know how many you've seen, Greg, but I've seen 4 or 5 since I've been here. And it's not a matter of, like Greg said, that they open the floodgates, it's that they don't open the floodgates and we flood. So, when they don't open the dam, you know, because of water downstream, that's when Trophy Club Park floods. And so I hate to put something there that could potentially get eroded quickly. You know, I don't know if we're better off doing concrete. You know, I mean, that's much more expensive, but I don't know. It's,
We did get a bid on concrete, and it did
Yeah, it's
double the
much more
price.
expensive.
Yes, sir. It doubled
but
the
I
price.
mean, at the entrance way, maybe that's where we should do that and get that shored up. And then, you know, I don't know. It just seems like that we could go out for more funding from the government because it is, at the end of the day, it's their park. It's not ours. We lease it, you know. It just seems, you know, I mean, if we had a huge fund balance and money was pouring in and we didn't know what to do with it, but this is a whole different, it may be better that we just patch it and do what we can and, you know, rather than replacing all that and, I don't know. I'm just not for it at this time. I think that, you know, I've asked and asked and asked for a capital replacement budget, and we can't do it. I mean, in the 8 years that I've been on council, every year I've said we need a reserve fund, we need a reserve fund, we still don't have one, because it floods. And we use all of that money for the park, you know, to get it back up to standards of, you know, so we can generate that revenue. Faster we can get it back up, faster we start generating that revenue. So, I don't know, it's just, I'm really not for it.
Councilmember Wilson?
When did you say the pricing will be redone for the park along with all the other amenities in town?
We haven't picked a specific date that it would come forward. Parks and Recreation has reviewed their fees, and Tony knows where he wants to bring those, but the rest of the departments, we'd rather do it universally, so we need to have the other departments review their fees as well.
The only thing I would say is I would envision a majority of their use is going to happen spring into the summer. So if things slip too far, then you miss you miss your opportunity to actually take advantage of it. So
Yes,
I'd
sir.
suggest probably not letting perfect get in the way of good.
Okay?
Mayor Pro Tem Lamont?
Question about the 50,000. Is that already earmarked for something, or can we use it for the road?
No, that's unassigned fund balance
It's unassigned.
in Trophy Club Park. Yes, sir.
In the park.
So can we use it?
Sure. Yes, sir.
So we're looking at 19,000. What projects would come up that would then require, we don't have the 50, then we have to dip into our pockets again, coming up in the next year or so?
Tony, you have anything?
Currently at the park, we don't have any pending projects that would require that amount of funds. So anything in the future, I'll definitely budget for in the out years. We do have a capital replacement program as well in place for that particular park as well that I can share with Mr. Norwood and Mr. Carroll to share with you guys.
And it's only 22 feet.
I'm sorry. No, sir.
Did I see something about 22?
2,000 feet long, 22 feet wide.
22 feet.
Yeah.
That's much better.
Councilmember Drossy?
You know, staff knows I've been pretty vocal about wanting this. I mean, I use the club or the park a lot, especially since COVID's happened and what have you. I do think the road needs to be repaired. I do have some questions, though, that I think everybody brings up a good point. My concern is just moving forward with this until like the actual comprehensive plan's in place, like until the fees are addressed, until everything's laid out and like we have everything lined out. And maybe this is one of the questions I have that maybe Mike can answer is, if we move forward with this, if we have the $50,000 that's just out there that's available, as Greg pointed out, there's 19,000 that's available that, or not, correction, that's left. Thank you. I appreciate this left. What is the time it would take with the current gate fees for us to pay back that 19K? Are we talking a couple months? Are we talking 6 months? Are we talking a year?
Take 114 divided by 6, which is what the revenue that we brought in to date. I mean, so yeah, you could be looking at 15,000 a month coming in or more in revenue if things continue as they are right now. So you could be looking at a couple of months to make up the difference of the 19.
So potentially in 1 month, we could have the extra $15,000 there, and now we've almost got the road paid for. And then that would give us time to put, not telling you guys what to do, but like that would give us time to put the plan together as far as the gate fees and reassess the fees, have that as part of the plan. Then you'd also have the plan for the road to be paid for, and we're talking, what, $5,000, $6,000 left with a month. Anyways, that's just kind of my thought process.
Mayor Pro Tem Lamont?
Well, in trying to make this work, I just want to clarify, though, yes, we are getting 15,000 a month or whatever it is, but there are expenses related to that. We have a gate employee.
Great question.
So it's not a month or so, it's about, even 6 months is not a bad situation. But I just want to clarify that there are expenses attached to the 15,000 a month that we get.
That's correct.
So to that point, I'm sorry,
No, it's okay, go ahead.
so to that point, what's our fixed costs for running the gate? I mean, we look, again, I go back to what Is it 2 months? What are we looking at as far as the payback?
I don't have that number. I don't think Mike has that number exactly with us. Personnel costs.
I think what he
Bill.
wants to know is, what's the
net
the net
Operational.
profit out of, per month for the park?
Looking at the numbers that we looked at today, obviously there's some crazy swings in there because you have some grant funds that come in, you have some grant paybacks that were done, we had some flooding at different times, but if you average over the last 6 or 7 years that we look back, we're averaging about $40,000 of profit a year out of that park.
So here's our.
Councilmember Schaffner?
Here's our 2021 approved budget. The beginning working capital was negative 34,680. We said that we're gonna get 160,000 in park revenue, and we had 166,738 in expenses, leaving a fund balance of negative 20,000.
Sir, if I might speak to that fund balance. Last year, as we were building the budget, I took fund balance from the 19 audit, where we stood as of the 19 audit, and put that as a starting fund balance for the 21 budget. So we have increased that fund balance since this time.
I guess what I'm saying is we have 166,000 in expenses. So what are we gonna cut? Because we still have to pay those expenses. So what are we cutting? Because we may have 50,000 now, but it doesn't mean we're gonna end with 50,000. You know, and so to use that 50,000 to come up and all we need is 19, that's not quite accurate. So I guess my question is, you have expenses, where are you gonna come up with this money?
Why don't we bring this back to you on April 27th?
Okay.
I think there's a strong desire to get this done, but we also want to make sure that,
I think I would more support it if we budgeted for it, you know, so if we included that in the budget and we could see that, okay, this is an expense, we don't have it as an expense right now, and so perhaps that's the.
I think.
Do I have a motion to table?
We're planning on the grant.
Yeah.
That's why it wasn't in the budget.
Yeah, but the part that we.
Do you need a
I think
motion to table?
Yeah.
I think you do need a motion.
I'll make a motion to table this until the April 27th council meeting.
Second, yeah.
Okay, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont, a second by Councilmember Schaffner. All in favor? Unanimous, motion carries. On to item 7. Conduct a public hearing for a request by Trophy Table for a specific use permit for alcohol beverage sales for on-premise consumption in conjunction with the restaurant use located at 3000 State Highway 114. Ms. Payne.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Trophy Table is the new restaurant that is going in the old Breadwinners building, and they've requested an SUP for alcoholic beverage sales. The applicant proposes to sell beer, wine, and liquor for on-premises consumption in conjunction with the restaurant use of Trophy Table. They've also applied to TABC for a late hours permit, which allows them to sell alcohol and for alcohol to be consumed between the hours of 12 midnight and 2 a.m. The PD 25 development standards do not regulate alcohol sales beyond town and state laws, but do specifically allow for retail and restaurants to stay open until 2 a.m. Trophy Table is in compliance with the 300-foot rule for schools, churches, and hospitals, as the closest of that is the Primrose at Entrada, about 3,100 feet away. Parking needs have been addressed by the required on-site parking spaces. Chief of Police has been notified, and he has no problem with this. Public notice was distributed, and to date, we have not received any feedback. P&Z considered this item on April 8th and unanimously recommended approval. Staff recommends approval as well, and the applicant is here.
Thank you. So I'd open the public hearing at 7:34 p.m. for this item. Is there anyone here wishing to speak? Anyone sign up to speak? No? Okay, no speakers. I close the public hearing at, we'll say, 7:35 p.m. Okay, item 7B is the approval for the special use permit as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Recognize Mayor Pro Tem Lamont.
Make a motion to approve the request by the Trophy Table for a special use permit for alcohol beverages sales for on-premise consumption in conjunction with a restaurant use located at 3000 State Highway 114.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and a second by Councilmember Monger. All in favor? It's unanimous, motion carries. On to item 8. Youth Program Standard of Care Ordinance. Conduct a public hearing to receive comments establishing a youth program standard of care ordinance related to day camp activities.
Good evening,
Tony.
Mayor, Council. Thank you. I just want to start off by saying how proud we are about having the opportunity to have this program this year. As we all know, beyond last year, we were needed to cancel due to reasons beyond our control. So our summer camp program will be held this year, and we're just looking for approval for the revisions on the youth program standard of care. There are no specific major revisions that were made other than just a couple of job titles and our new mayor's information as well. So those are the only revisions that were made to our document this year, and staff recommends approval. And I'm available for any questions.
I open the public hearing at 7:36 PM for this hearing. Did anyone sign up to speak this evening? Okay, I'll close the hearing at 7:36 PM. To 8B, approval of ordinance 2021-07 is recommended by staff. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-07, establishing a youth program standard of care ordinance providing child care regulations for day camp activities in accordance with section 42.041B 14 of the Texas Human Resources Code.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
That was a long one. Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and a second by Councilmember Wilson. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous, motion carries. Thank you, Tony. Okay, item 9, take appropriate action regarding economic development agreement for a loan and grant with Trophy Table Restaurant to be located at 3000 Texas 114, Trophy Club, Texas. Mr. Norwood.
Mayor and council, as you heard earlier, Trophy Table is going to be the new restaurant that's going in the former Breadwinners building. We just approved their alcohol sales. This item is for an incentive agreement utilizing our Economic Development Corporation funds. There's a $100,000 grant and a $200,000 loan that will be repaid back to the corporation. This agreement was considered last night at the Economic Development Corporation EDC meeting. The EDC approved it 4-1, and with the stipulation that we attach the amortization table with the agreement, which shows the payments to the corporation for the life of the term. There's no prepayment penalty if they choose to pay it off early. I know that's the desire, but again, there's not a prepayment penalty. This would, they would be set up on a payment plan about 120 days after obtaining their CO. The applicants are here. You know, we've put as many safeguards in there as possible. There were a couple that I think there were some members of the EDC that desired, but it just wasn't feasible to make it happen. Our attorney is comfortable with the agreement as presented, as is staff. And I know Mayor, you and Mayor Pro Tem were at the meeting last night, so you heard some of the discussion. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor, for any questions or to hear from the applicant.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I do. So the prior meeting, it was unanimous. Why did the one person change? Were they not at?
That
Oh.
person wasn't at the previous
Okay.
meeting.
So were there 5 at the last one? So somebody else was missing? I guess?
Correct.
Yes, Corey was not able to attend.
Last night or the previous?
Both.
Oh, okay. So the person who voted no last night
Michael
was
was,
not at the,
he was not at the,
Michael Clark, I believe it was, yeah.
was he or was he not? I don't know if he was at the previous.
he was the previous.
He was at the previous.
Yeah, I think it was Corey that was
yeah. I believe, for his reason, he wanted to see a corporation guarantee instead of a personal guarantee. That was his only hangup. But their other corporation is 50% owned by another party, so that's why that wasn't feasible. But that was the only reason.
Make a motion.
I recognize Mayor Pro Tem Lamont.
Make a motion to approve the loan and grant agreement with Trophy Table Restaurant to be located at formerly Breadwinners, 3000 TX 114 Trophy Club, Texas.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and a second by Councilmember Munger. All in favor?
Point of
Or
order.
more discussion?
Yeah,
Did you
no,
stop?
point of order. Can I have the question divided?
Can you have what?
The question divided?
I think he wants to deal with the loan and the grant separately.
You want me to make a motion?
What?
Do you wanna-
No, we asked it to be divided.
Because there's two different things, two different subjects, and under our rules of procedure, any council
I'm
member,
asking, what two subjects do you want to be
the loan and the
grant?
grant.
Need a motion for that?
It's one agreement. I believe the proper way to do it is if you have a motion. and
It
a
is one
second,
it's one
so,
contract.
The proper way to address that would be a motion to approve part one, so the loan and the grant. Approve the agreement without the loan or the grant, rather than separate the question.
Probably the appropriate thing is to say it's not feasible, and then we'll just do it as one.
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you.
Just say it's not feasible, and we'll do
It's
it
not
as
feasible,
one.
yeah. Fair enough.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and a second by Councilmember Munger. All in favor? 5-2, motion carries. Thank you. Kevin and Julie are here this evening. Thank you for being here. We're excited to have you in our community. I know it's not been made too public yet because we're waiting for last night's meeting and this tonight's meeting. But I know y'all have been hard at work out there cleaning up and getting things ready. And I know you have a very successful business in Arlington that does very well, has great food, great service, and great entertainment. And we're very excited to have you in our community bringing all that to us as well. So welcome, welcome, and congratulations, and we look forward to having you here. Thank you so much. Anything else? Okay, we will move on to our executive session. Pursuant to the following section of the Texas Government Code, annotated Chapter 551, Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.074, Personnel Matters, Annual Review of our Town Manager. It is 7:43, we're in executive session. Okay. It's 9:37, we've reconvened from executive session into regular session. There was no action taken, so we are adjourning at 9:37.